Hello, Charlie. It's lovely to be speaking to you again after 40 years. I can't believe all that time has gone by. You have asked me whether I'd like to talk about sound and sound poetry. I feel very lucky in my life because ever since I can remember, poetry and music has been part of my life. At our school, we were very keen on choral speaking, that was group speaking, and also we had a choir. And then family members taught me keyboard. So when I went to University College London, automatically I joined the university choir. And then I had one of my great experiences in sound, what I call a sound bath. Every year for 3 years, we sang a carol concert under the dome of St Paul's for our Chancellor, the Queen Mother. And singing in that great resonant space was an extraordinary experience that stayed with me all my life, the value of sound. Now, the second experience I clearly remember was going to the Institute of Contemporary Art in London in 1970. And there was an exhibition called The Vibrating World by Hans Jenny, The Vibrating World. He was a specialist in understanding how sound affects matter. And the exhibition consisted of various vitrines, and each one had a membrane in it with sand on top. And through that membrane, each cabinet had a different sound. And I couldn't believe my eyes. The sound affected the sand, and wonderful circular patterns occurred in the sand. They were geometric, they were like petals, and if we think that all sound is doing that to matter, dare we believe in a harmonious universe? Now, I do hope that I have been able to contribute two aspects to sound poetry. The one is asking everybody to join in, and that, of course, comes from my experience at school where we all spoke together. The poem belonged to everybody, not just to a single voice. And the other aspect is using natural objects. And I have done this frequently since I began in 1973 with stones, and Bob Cobbing published that in 1974 as Stone Tones. Now, in your festival in 1980 in New York, as you know, I performed popcorn. I was amazed. I didn't know anything about popcorn till American students in 1979 in Oxford. They cooked up some popcorn for me, and all those explosions in the pan. And then each popcorn is totally different. That's why I called my piece Popcorn Individuals. Since then, I have used various objects, and I think one of the most important performances I've done with that was at the Royal Academy of Art. The schools asked me to take part in a symposium called The Noise and Voices of Objects. I started off by passing ammonites round and calling out the different names to do with ammonites, and it all ended very noisily with me giving 3 blasts of a ram's horn. Then I took this object, a conch. Now, Charlie, in your super website, I do actually remember that you've got a photograph of yourself using a conch. But this is a wonderful instrument, and if we put it to our ear, we can hear an extraordinary resonance. Some say it is the sound of the sea, but scientists say no. This is an amplifier. It's picking up ambient sound from the area. Well, I would like just to demonstrate what I feel about quiet sound, I would like to perform this piece that I did at the Royal Academy, and it's on their website. This poem of mine is called Phone, because the Greek word for voice and sound, and the sound of voices, the noise of voices, is phoni. And so I call this poem Phone. And it starts actually with an anecdote. A neighbour lent me a book a good many years ago, and it was called A Pattern of Islands by Arthur Grimble. And he, as a young man, he went to help administer what was then belonging to Britain, the Gilbert and Ellice Islands. And he stayed there for 20 years, and he loved the people there, and he learnt their language. Now, because he learnt their language, they knew he was serious about them, and they told him all kinds of things that they wouldn't normally tell a foreigner. And one day they said to him, "We're going for our fish feast to a very special uninhabited island. Come with us." So they all paddled off, got to the island, got onto the beach, and then a group of their shaman, they're the people who have the inherited wisdom of the tribe, it's their job to hold that wisdom. These shaman, they took out, each one, a conch. They stood on the beach and they blew their conch. If you want to hear what a conch sounds like, quite a lot on the internet. So all these conches sounded, and he couldn't believe his eyes. Shoals of fish jumped out of the sea and plonked themselves on the beach. Well, there everybody said, "Oh, thank you, fishes, for giving yourselves to our feast," and they cooked and they ate them. Now, what does that say about this magic instrument? The poem Phone is a very quiet poem. I think we need to recalibrate our ears, because we humans are making a dreadful racket, especially in the sea. And we've found out that whales who sing to each other across thousands of miles of ocean are actually being disrupted and disorientated by our great big vessels that have these strong beats of their marine engines. So this poem is very, very quiet. I just want to do a very, very little of it, just to show how I use this particular instrument. So we start, all of us, everybody join in, with just those three sounds in the word phone. It's phone, phone. This is a very smart phone. And thank you, Claire Mills, for recording this on her smartphone so that we can whiz it off to you, Charlie, in Helsinki, and Sean in California. And I would just like to finish by masking up with the poster that, as I have an archive, of course, I collected from your festival in 1980, and just to say goodbye and good luck.